All right, what is up, BatchPod squad of six? That's our average viewer total. This is the Ryan and Jacob show is back for the B'LettePod episode 3, which is not brought to you by the wine of the week. We're moving on up. I felt like this is the perfect wine to pick for this week because I think we're moving on up. I think we're gonna go from 6 average viewers to maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. That might be crazy, but we'll see. All right, so let's dive into this episode. It was kind of heavy at the beginning on that first date, but before we get into that, let's talk about our guy Carl here, who left us on the last episode, causing a lot of drama in the house, kind of bringing up the fact that he said he doesn't think everybody's here for the right reasons, and like very unspecific, very general, and kind of just like had no basis, but just said some shit and threw the whole thing upside down. And so we kind of come back into this episode as the aftermath of that. What do you think of our intro here?
Yeah, Carl kind of dug himself into a big hole. And he kept trying to scrape out of it and like climb, but the guys were just heavy hitters, just pushing him down and down. And he had no right to say that. Katie was pissed, kind of made the guys really pissed. I know Trey was really mad. He was like just throwing some F-bombs in there, cussing at him.
Trey was getting a little bit feisty there at the end.
He was. That's one of my top 3 guys that I like. But one thing that I did notice was when Katie was crying, and it's cool to see like when Katie's crying and all these guys are fighting each other, who's the guy to kind of go and like actually see how Katie's doing. And this time it was Greg.
Big fucking Greg.
He was the one guy who did it, which you got to give props where props are due. That guy was. I mean, that's the best movie you can make, right? When guys are fighting, you go. The reason why you're here, you go to that reason, and you look like an all-star when that happens. So he did that, and that was great. I have to give him props to that one.
And we all know at this point, Big Greg is my way too early fave, and to see him make that move, man. Yeah. I was over the moon when I saw that. I was like, man, Jacob is probably so mad to see my guy being that guy that stepped up and went in there to console Katie when she was in a down moment. And Big Greg, hashtag Team Greg, comes in there to save the day, put a little smile on her face. And wow, I just couldn't be happier about how that played out.
Yeah, and you got to think because Greg didn't have the first date or the one-on-one, so like he didn't get much screen time at all this episode except for that beginning. So, just him having that screen time, usually more screen times equals farther continuation of the show. But yeah, it was a good move. I mean, Andrew S. did that last week. So, I mean, you got to find those guys that do that all the time. And like, I'm sure Katie appreciates it, and I know I would if I was in that situation. But yeah, the guys are fighting, and he kind of flew under the radar to her. And then we get to the rose ceremony, and I think 3 or 4 guys got roses, and then Virgin. What's the guy's name?
Mike.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Virgin Mike. He got his rose, right? And then he basically told Katie, hey, Carl's full of shit. We all collectively agree to that. And then she kind of walks away.
As a unit, he said.
As a unit, yeah. As a unit.
As a unit have decided this.
So then she walks away to the co-hosts. And an interesting part, she said she was actually going to keep Carl. Like she said, I was thinking of keeping Carl. So, and I know Aaron got the last rose, and that Aaron's the guy that kicked the other guy off last episode. I forgot that guy's name already.
Cody.
I wonder, I don't know if he would have not gotten a rose, but I wonder who would have not gotten a rose if Mike didn't say that.
If she had kept Carl?
If she kept Carl, who would have not gotten a rose? I don't think it was Aaron, who got the last rose, but I don't really know like who it would have been.
I think Aaron was getting the rose no matter what. And you know what? I think we should touch on that. The fact that Aaron was our episode 1 a possible douche for views and turned out to be like pretty good dude, like because he was actually like right about what he was saying, so we think. And so far, like through the rest of everything, it seems like Aaron is actually like pretty good guy. So I thought that was worth touching on, but you're right. I don't know if she had kept Karl. I think it would probably be one of the guys that I don't even know, because there were a couple guys that got roses that I was like, wait a minute, what has he done? Where's he been? Like, I didn't even know that guy was on the show. Like, there were a couple of those. I can't tell you their names because I don't know them. But yeah, I would think that probably one of those guys would be the ones that didn't get a rose if Karl had stayed. But she, I think, makes a good call and sending Karl home. I don't think there was any positives of keeping him around, especially after all that. Like, whether he is right or not, he made just the most general statement of just saying that. And then when he was in the group, like trying to defend himself, he just kept saying, listen, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. And it's like, dude, yeah, you might not have specifically done that, but by saying that, even as a general statement, you've thrown pretty much everyone under the bus, which is almost worse. Like, I don't know. That guy is unbelievable. I thought that situation was just unreal.
Yeah, it was a weird situation, and I think episode 2, I told everyone to watch out, or maybe it was the end of episode 1. I told everyone that Karl was going to be a problem because he was just a very talkative, really in your face kind of guy that wanted to be involved in everything, and I kind of sniped that out of that one. But it was kind of easy to see that because you could see how loud and obnoxious he was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's a motivational speaker, so to me, it makes me think like this guy's used to just being the center of attention all the time. So throwing him in a dating competition with 30 other dudes, I mean, he's got to try and find a way to get himself to be that guy that everyone's looking at, because that's what he's used to all the time, probably. And this was just
backfired.
Horrible. Yeah. So back to the rose ceremony. I hate to call him Virgin Mike. Like, I feel like that's such a bad name to call him. But Mike,
that's the only way I can remember him.
Yeah.
At this point of the competition.
Because we do have 2 Michaels.
We do.
I don't know what his last initial is to call him out as that. But okay, so Virgin Mike brings up the fact that, like, he's just like, we as a unit think Karl should probably skedaddle, right? Yeah. And like you said, that brought Katie to run back to Tayshia and Caitlin to talk to them, and she kind of talks through it. We come back to the rose ceremony, and ultimately, Karl goes home. Probably a good call, right? Yeah. So Karl leaves, and also we got John, and we got
Hersey.
What's that?
John Hersey.
That's his last name?
His last name.
What's Karl's last name?
I don't know.
We don't know. Okay. And then we also had Kyle who went home. What's his last name?
I don't know.
Tell me why we only know John's last name.
Don't know why, but it just stuck with me. I'm pretty sure that's his last name. I would look pretty stupid if it's not his last name.
That would actually be way funnier if that's not his real last name.
I'm gonna look this up now because you got me second guessing.
Okay. You go right ahead and look it up. So that was our rose ceremony. We lose Kyle, Karl, and John Hersey. I don't know. I don't think anyone else went home, but if they did, it was probably somebody that we just don't know very well.
Yeah, this guy. See this? No, you can't see it. Oh yeah, you can see it.
No, yeah, I don't know what he looks like.
Right. The last.
The name. I think it's Hersey.
Hersey.
John Hersey.
I'm gonna say Hersey.
No, it very well could be Hersey. So great call, Dan. I don't know why that's the only guy of all 25 left that you know his last name, but Don Hersey. We're gonna miss John H. From there, we go from the rose ceremony to our first group date of the episode. And this was kind of a heavy hitter, right? So they kind of broke off into a little group chat, and it was really just a little bit of an honesty hour. And what did you think of this? Because this got real into the weeds here.
Yeah, I don't know why. What was that? The guy who kind of hosted that. What's his name? Nick? Was that Nick?
Nick something. I mean, you probably know his last name. You're a last name professional. So
it's Nick. That's all I know is Nick. I don't know really what his
last name.
I don't know really his role. He really just was just a face. Like he was the Bachelor. He was on. I think he was on 2 Bachelorettes. He was in Bachelor in Paradise, and then he was the Bachelor. That's Hannah's season where she got. That's why. That's the reason why I know who that guy is. But yeah, it was a heavy hit. Like people just like told stories that I would not want to tell in front of a group of guys that I just met 2 weeks ago. And like I would, like Michael A, who got the solo date, he had the best because he could do that one-on-one, and it could be like an intimate moment, and like you guys, like you could feel it. But like with like maybe 8 guys, 9 guys, however many are on that date, it was just weird. It was just so weird.
Yeah. So
what'd you think about it?
I thought I don't know, man. It was honestly just like real. Like I said, it was just real heavy. I mean, they basically just all went in there, and she was like, "Listen, I need to know everybody's honest past and stuff," which is at the end of the day like a good thing to know, right? In this position, it's a great thing to know these answers. Like you said, maybe not to talk about in front of 8 other guys as well, but. I respect the call because I think she learned a lot about these dudes. And once one dude started, I mean, it all just kind of kept coming out. Like all the other guys were just spilling their beans. And honestly, I think that's probably for the better in the long run for her. I mean, she kind of has a good idea of where everybody's at now and some of the tendencies that they have had in the past with some of their past experiences. So I don't know, like I like the call, but man, shit got real deep. I mean, people were really bearing some souls out there.
Yeah, and the 2 craziest ones were the first and the last one. So the first one was, I think his name is Hunter. No, wait, is it Hunter?
Yeah,
I think it's Hunter. Hunter.
Kids.
Yeah, so he goes up and says, he had his, I don't know if he was married, but he loved this girl, and then he had 2 kids, like that we first, like I know Michael A said he had a son straight out the gate, and then this guy kind of took a different avenue and said, hey, this is my time to kind of tell you I have 2 kids, I think a son and a daughter, which I mean that's a good story. I mean not a good story per se, but like something that he needed to say. But then the last one was the cat guy, Connor B. Now that one was that was a jaw dropper. That's something I would not want to share with many people. That was a bad one. Not a bad, like not saying it was a bad. I mean it's part of your life, but like that was probably the heaviest out of all of them.
Yeah, dude. Especially like he didn't even really. I mean. So he cheated on his girl, but I think the bigger part of that was like his past, bad experiences with alcohol, and like how he said that like that was kind of what led him down a bad path. And honestly, like I don't know if I saw this wrong, but a little bit later into the episode when they were all sitting around the table on an after cocktail party of that day, like I'm pretty sure he was drinking. And I was thinking like, man, if I had just told that story with the whole past of me and bad alcohol experiences, I might not be drinking on the show, right? Like that'd probably be my prerogative there. But I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that I saw a drink in front of him at that last cocktail party.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch that. That's a good catch though if he did, but like I don't think he ever said he was like sober. I
No,
think
he didn't.
yeah, I think he just kind of went to therapy. I think he said he went to therapy and he really worked on himself, and now he can control like his amount of drinking. I know there's like a 2-drink limit for this show. I think I read one time. But maybe he can just control it better. And I don't know, maybe it's a non-alcoholic, Sprite. I don't know. Maybe it's, you don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know that. But that is just like I thought it was a beer actually. So
Oh,
that,
okay, yeah.
but nonetheless,
Odell's.
like first of all, I could have been completely wrong, but second of all, if he has figured all that out and can still do that, then you know what, good for him. But like you said, that was a very shocking one because he's kind of been one of the more soft guys and more relaxed dudes on the show so far. So yeah, that was super out of left field to hear that. But again, good on him for being able to put that out there in front of everybody that was there, and he he took it like a champ. But
Yeah, I really.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I really respect what Katie did too, because like after eight of these, I'm going to say 8 guys. I don't know how many it was, but all these 8 guys shared some deep stories.
Yeah.
She shared a deep story herself that like she said her mom didn't even know about it. So like I respect that. If you ask somebody to be that vulnerable to you, you kind of have to give that back. And I think she did a good job. I think she's been very fair as a bachelorette, because sometimes you would see other bachelors and bachelorettes kind of just say, hey, you do this while I sit there and watch. And I think she's really taken on the role where if I ask you to do something, I wouldn't ask you to do something that I wouldn't want to do. And I think she's really taken that role, and I appreciate it, and I commend her for that.
Yeah, and that in itself was a huge moment too.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm sure it takes a lot to bear something like that about a non-consensual experience. So same wavelength as you. That good on her for doing that and being able to actually be very open about that. And man, what a deep moment. And then you got fucking Thomas who comes in after everybody's bearing their souls, everyone's crying and shit. And then Thomas just comes in here and gives like this sales pitch about why he's just so happy about the moment that the moments he has with Katie. And he talks about all these red flags that he'd be happy to run through and talk about. And then he talks about 0 of them. And like to me, this guy is just so rehearsed. Like this, he just has everything that he's about to say in his head before he goes in, and he just says it, and none of it is ever detailed. Like every time he goes on a date with her, he's just like, I'm just so happy to be here, and I feel like that what we have is so great. And like he never goes into anything. He just says,
Right.
What do you think about Tom? Big Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this last episode. I really don't like that guy. Like you said, I think somebody on the show said that he was doing like a sales pitch, which is really what it felt like. But yeah, he just doesn't seem like a genuine guy. And I think the one thing I know, or like this guy, I think is going to be on the show for a while. I think he's going to be kind of the Luke P, kind of the guy that, because Katie has like, she likes this guy. She thinks he's really attractive, and you can kind of see the spark a little bit. But like you said, he's rehearsed, and Katie will see right through that. I think he stays for a while though, and he's going to be that guy that we talk about episode per episode, every episode, just because he'll do something stupid, or like the guys will call him out, and he'll just bring that drama kind of to the next level. But I think he stays for a while. That's just a guess though. How long do you think he stays? Do you think he goes or leaves pretty soon?
No, I think he definitely is going to stay for a while.
Yeah.
I think we can officially stamp this guy as our douche for views. Like there's no one else that could take this title. I think far and away our douche for views because, yeah, he sucks. I mean, like I said, dude, every time he comes out and says anything, it's just always super like basic phrases, like shit that
Yeah.
you hear from a rom-com, like all
Yeah.
these like things that you'd hear in a rom-com, just these just very cliche phrases, and he just keeps saying them over and over and never goes into detail about himself or about why he feels that way or anything. And God, and then okay, so then let's get into this. So then we get into our cocktail party where everyone kind of gets a little one-on-one time, and then we got our dude Aaron, our fake D.F.V because we got faked out there. He's actually a pretty cool dude. So Aaron's having his little one-on-one, and Thomas comes in after he's already had his time, and he's like pacing the floors next to Aaron and Katie while they're trying to talk about some deep shit. And
Yeah.
what are you doing, dude? What do you think about that part?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't like them. That's just something you don't do because like the guys or the girls, whoever season we're on, always gets mad at the person that has two opportunities to talk to someone when two guys didn't have any. So that's always going to stem something. And just the fact that, like you said, he's rehearsed and then he tells the guys when he comes back from the second time that he said, "Oh, I told her I'm falling in love with her," and the guys just like flip. Which, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't toy with somebody like that this early. And then he tries to like take it back and say, "No, I didn't say that. I said, you got to go in." I don't know what he said, but he said something about going into this with love on the mind or something like that. Like he's another flipper that you can say that's going to flip stories all the time. And yeah, I just don't like him. There's nothing that I like about him. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. Like he honestly sucks. Like after that, especially, yeah, like you said, like he came back and he was just like told all the guys that he told her he was falling in love, and they were all the guys were like, "What?
Like,
What?" That's exactly what I would have been like too. I'd have been like, "You did what?" Is that like your last ditch effort to stay longer? Is to just say that?
Yeah. Well, I think what he did, because I think his first one-on-one, Katie was like, "Oh, you talked about red flags in our meeting or in our group therapy session. Like, what are those red flags?" And then he's like, "Oh, every time I'm with you, I just, love the time that I have." And she was like, "Yeah, I mean, I get that. But you said there were like hundreds of red flags you want to go over." And then he didn't like his answer. So then he went back and just the second time said the same exact thing basically in a different way. And he's like, "I nailed it." I nailed it.
Dude, that's every time he has a moment with her, it's always just those really general statements.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm so glad that she said what you said. Like, she was just like, "Okay, yeah, I got that part. Well, like, let's get maybe a little bit further into this." And like, no, he just kept saying the same shit.
Yeah.
And like, dude, this guy is the worst. Why are we entertaining this? I have no idea.
Yeah, he's a bad one. But I mean, let's get away from bad and let's go to the solo date where she took Michael A., who we both liked from the jump, in episode one. I keep saying season one. In episode one that we both liked.
Let me interrupt you real quick. I'm only going to say, I just want to say that from that cocktail hour, Connor B did get the rose.
Yes.
For his, he spilled a lot. Good for him. But he did get the rose. And then now, go ahead.
Yeah. So then Michael A., they go dune buggying, or before he actually gets in the dune buggy, Katie actually flips the vehicle, which is kind of badass, I thought. But they go dune buggying, and I mean, they had fun. Like, what do you think about that date?
Oh, dude, I thought it was fireworks, just absolute fireworks. We both expressed on our first episode that we liked this Michael guy. And I think that's only just been concreted now. That date was great. They had their little dune buggy thing, and then they went and they had a little picnic or whatever, and he told her about his, you know, all the stuff he was thinking about with his son, and how that's kind of part of him and part of his, like, if she were to choose him, that would be something to factor in, basically. But I think it all went great. And then they went and they looked at the stars and they were having some laughs. And no, I thought it was a fantastic one-on-one. What'd you think?
It was amazing, dude. He had some crazy quotes in that one-on-one, dude. He was killing the quote game. He had so many.
Let's hear some.
I mean, I wish this is one time I wish I would have wrote down some, because he was talking about, like, he's just seeing this, how lucky he is to fall in love twice, once with his wife and then once with, you know, the future. And he's taking that as like a positive, but he's not going to forget, you know, his first wife. And, you know, Katie even expressed, like, yeah, I would never want to compare myself to her and what you have. I wouldn't get jealous and, you know, anything like that, which is the right attitude for that. But yeah, I mean, he hit a home run. You can't really find any negatives about that date. I do want to say another crazy idea. I don't feel like he is going to. I feel like he's going to go far, and I'm gonna stamp this. I think he goes far enough, and I think we see him as the next Bachelor.
Oh, really?
I think with the single dad, I think they've had a couple single dads, or maybe a couple single moms. I know Claire was a single mom. I think she has a kid or two. Maybe not. I could be mistaken. I know they've had a couple of single dads. And I think he is one to watch out for the next Bachelor. I'm gonna say that.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Bold statement.
But yeah, just kind of piggyback on what you said. I think it was a great date. And like you said, you know, and if you're a single dad and you're kind of laying all that out on the line, the way that Katie responded was exactly how I would want somebody to respond to that if I were in that situation. So, man, I agree. Like, I just think that he was firing on all cylinders, and that date just ended up really good. I mean, that guy he just seems like a really cool, chill dude.
Yeah, he seems like a genuine guy, and I think he is 36. I don't know. I think Katie's 28.
I think she's 30.
Okay, she's a little older than I thought, but like, I don't think that's going to get him away. But like, he's very mature for his age, seeing what he's been through, and I don't know if that's going to maybe scare. I know Katie like reacted not like very positively and nicely to it, but I feel like that's going to be something just to look out for. Down the road, to see how really that, you know, the first reaction is like, oh, okay, like good, but then it's all about like the second reaction. They're like, then it's kind of sets in stone. I think that might be a problem with how Katie sees her life going, but I could be wrong. I mean, again, that's just a guess, and that's why I picked him as the next Bachelor. But that's just the bold prediction.
Yeah, it is a bold prediction, but man, I do respect the call. I wasn't thinking that at all. So that'll be definitely something to watch. If you do nail that prediction, that'd be pretty impressive. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on Michael to see how that progresses. But I think no doubt he's gonna go pretty far.
Yeah.
So from there, we don't really get a whole lot after that. Is basically just kind of the hate Thomas show after that one-on-one date, where we kind of get everybody saying their piece about Thomas. And I know Hunter had a one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but like he kind of had a solo combo with Thomas. And what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, somebody had to do it, right? Somebody had to tell him, like, hey, dude, you got to kind of chill. You got to respect the guys and stuff. And, yeah, I mean, it was good of Hunter to, you know, kind of say that. I really don't remember too much of how that conversation went, but I remember everyone just dogging Thomas towards the end of the show about, like, the crazy thing is, like, somebody asked him about if he was thinking about being the next Bachelor.
That was Hunter.
And that was Hunter. Okay, yeah. So this was after the solo one-on-one thing. And he like straight up, like he kind of hesitated a little bit, but he's like, yeah, I mean, that kind of crossed my mind, which is probably something you don't want to say, even though it's probably true. Like, I'm sure all those guys have probably thought that, like, oh man, maybe I can be the next Bachelor, but that's something you don't want to say out loud.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing that Thomas was just okay to say that. Like, maybe he is reaching a point of genuine feelings. I don't know. Because he kind of did allude to the fact that, like you said, he very openly admitted that was on his mind at first. But then kind of at the end, he did say that now he's forming feelings. So I don't know, man. Like, it's shit. I wouldn't want to be in Katie's shoes, like trying to figure out if these dudes are like for real or not. How far are you willing to take it before the real shit comes out? I don't know. But also maybe Thomas, like he really is saying, came in and was thinking that about being the next Bachelor, but then actually caught feelings. Who knows? Like, it could be either one. I have no idea. And I think that's just only going to be something that we're going to have to figure out as we watch through the next few episodes.
Yeah, I mean, the next episode for sure, I think somebody's going to tell Katie that. So I'm going to guess Aaron, but I really, don't know. But I'm going to guess somebody's going to tell Katie that he said that, and that's when we're going to kind of have to see kind of how this goes. But that was kind of the end of the episode. But one thing that I saw, I mean, I watched it on Hulu, so I don't know if this happened on the actual on Monday, but they did like a promo to like sign up for Michelle's season, which is the next season, which is the next Bachelorette. I don't know. Did you see that? Oh, you don't have commercials on Hulu, do you?
No.
So I have a commercial version of Hulu, and one of the commercials was sign up for the next Bachelorette, Michelle Young season, go to this website. And I never seen like a promo like that. So I don't know. I'm sure they're not hurting for guys, but I just never seen a promo like that. So I thought that was interesting.
That is. I didn't see it. I have no idea. But that is interesting. I feel like I have seen some of those. I don't know on what. Maybe on like those last the final Rose episodes, they probably have commercials and stuff for that. Yeah. But yeah, I watch it all on Hulu with no ads, so I don't see any of that. But that's wild. I probably won't be signing up for that one.
No, we should have had Michelle now and then have that promo. Then you could have done the Katie one.
Imagine me on this season with Katie, like in that honesty circle. Like, I wouldn't have had shit to say, dude. I ain't done nothing. I would have had absolutely nothing to say.
Yeah, I mean, you're 20, you're 25 or 26, one of the two. Some of those guys are young, so I don't know. Some people just been through a lot of shit more than us, that's for sure.
Man, that's for sure. And like some of that speaks to a good side, and some of that speaks to a bad side. But as long as everybody's grown from it, then good on them. But I honestly like was watching that honesty circle thing, and I was just thinking like, man, if I was on this season, like imagine me in this thing.
But you also got to think, like, I'm sure producers plan all this crap. So like they only took like probably the 8 guys that didn't get the dates probably were like you and just like didn't have too much to say in that realm. And they chose the 8 that had a lot of stuff that kind of came up in their lives. So, I mean, you could have probably been the solo date this week.
Man, that would have been nuts. I'd have been Big Mike. Except not as cool and not as good looking. Jeez. Man, I just every episode I look at the group of guys that are in here and I think about me being among them, and I'm just like, man, dude, I would be sticking out like a sore thumb.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy to think. Like I was talking to Cass, I was like, do you think I'd be good at this show? And she was like, no. I was like, yeah, I agree. I would suck at this show. Like you said, I'd stick out like a sore thumb and I'd just be clowning the whole time, and then just be like not good.
When all that Karl shit was going down, I would have been crying laughing. I would have laughed so hard at all that. Everybody would have thought that I was just not taking anything seriously.
Right.
But that would not be the case. Like that's my reaction to shit. Like when that type of stuff's going down, like all I want to do is laugh about it.
Right. Yeah. Just any awkward situation I'm laughing at, and that's probably not the best time to laugh.
I'm laughing to almost a point of tears in most of those situations. Like it wouldn't even be close.
Right.
All right. But as far as this episode, I think that kind of wraps us up. There wasn't really a whole lot going on, but I think we've probably said this at the end of every one of our episodes. I think we're setting up for next week to be pretty juicy. If we keep saying it, one of these episodes is going to end up being. So I think we'll just keep on going with that. So I think next episode is going to be pretty juicy. And I'm excited to see what comes of that. Do you have any closing thoughts for our 5 fans?
No, but I mean, I do want to say, I want you to think about it this week. I stamped the Next Bachelor. I want you to think about it. I want you to stamp someone next week. Just a bold prediction. Someone you think could be the next Bachelor. Maybe the next Bachelor is from a guy from like 4 seasons ago. You really never know, or a new guy. But I want you to think about it. I want you to watch the next episode. Keep that in mind and stamp someone next week. I'm gonna go with Mike A.
All right, I like it. I always love stamping somebody for something.
Yeah.
So I'll keep my eye out, and next episode I'll stamp somebody that I think is gonna be the next Bachelor. I don't know if it's gonna be Michael A. So just to disagree with you, but
good.
All right, that does it for this week's episode of the B'LettePod. This has been the Ryan and Jacob Show, not brought to you by We're on Our Way Up Wine. We will catch you guys next week.
Peace.